name's Mitike, and I was born in Ethiopia, and at age 3 I was adopted and have lived in America since then. So yeah, I've grown up in an American household here in Minnesota. I think one of the biggest hardships, honestly, growing up for me was navigating my cultural identity and who I was. So it was trying to figure out, like, okay, I'm ethnically Ethiopian, but I was culturally American. So finding the bridge between those two things was definitely a challenge, but I think there was also beautiful moments within that. So I was able to take some courses on intercultural studies that actually helped me to grow in my passion for learning not just my own cultural identity, but also about other people groups and how God actually creates us for unique purposes. And so my story was complex, but I think it actually ended up being something that drove my passions. One of the biggest hardships was just always kind of feeling in the middle in certain communities or spaces, not really knowing where I fully fit in or was fully welcome. So I think that kind of brought some feelings of like loneliness, or even just like not feeling maybe worthy of love in certain spaces. So I took a while to try to process that and figure out that like this was complex, but I think it also like helps me to see others in a different way and try to value and understand their complex stories that maybe we don't understand or see from the outside. More towards my college years, my roommate was Ethiopian, so she welcomed me in and invited me into the culture in her home and just like in our conversations. So that was really helpful, but also my adoptive parents tried their best as well to kind of inform me in certain things and expose me to even like the cultural foods and things like that. So I feel like I had a great support system growing up, and even more now I get to explore that on my own. Yeah, what I love about Ethiopian culture is, one, the food is amazing, and I also love the hospitality culture that they have. It's incredibly welcoming and inviting, and so even in spaces sometimes where I don't know the language and it's harder to communicate, they'll do their best to invite me in the way that they can. So that's something I value a lot. For a while I thought I had to choose one or the other, like I had to be fully Ethiopian or fully American, and so it was difficult for me to choose like how am I supposed to pick, and I felt like both were beautiful, both challenged me in ways, so I had a hard time deciding. But over time I realized that there was beauty in both of them, and that I could actually celebrate being both Ethiopian American and also recognize that it would make my life challenging and certain conversations were harder. But I think once I started to see the beauty in it and use it as like a positive thing that could be maybe sharing my story with other people, it began to be less intimidating and hard for me. For a long time I kind of grew up not understanding the love of God, or like as a father or friend. It was really hard for me to like put that understanding in my mind, because on my earthly relationships it was much more challenging than that, and it took a lot of trust and rebuilding and broken relationships. So it was really hard to navigate that for a while, but I think once I understood that God was always going to be there for me, He was consistent and never changing, and Jesus could actually be my friend if I chose to like let Him into my life, that was where I saw change in my life. It's where I all of a sudden started to see all those feelings of like loneliness or abandonment. I had somebody there for me, and then I was able to also use that gift in my relationships. So the way that I see and view other people, it's easy to make assumptions and judgments, but I think if we're better at asking good questions and understanding people's stories, it helps us to be united together as the body of Christ. And also we can celebrate the diversity that God has, with each of us being unique children of God. But also I think we also need to understand the hardships that people have gone through, the brokenness that they've experienced. And when we choose to do that, and when we choose to not make assumptions, I think we're all better off together. One thing I would say to somebody who's trying to navigate their cultural identity and the hardships that they might be facing is that, I mean, first off, like, I think the biggest thing for me was understanding who God said I was and what my identity was in Him. And that took a while to understand for me, but I think when I found out that He had a consistent like description of who I was in His eyes, then I was able to then further understand who I was even culturally. And I think like not limiting yourselves to one or the other, but choosing to find a way to blend them together and find a new, beautiful, unique narrative for your life. So yeah, but I think everything is valuable, and so when I look back, I don't think any of it was wasted at all. So.